Hans Wormhat. This is a video on the zealotry of science, and I could talk about this for so long that I want to try to keep it really, really short. I used to believe in science, and okay, it's bad to say that because I still believe in being able to have theories and test them and prove things right, and the scientific method, but modern science has nothing to do with that. And people really follow it just like a religion, and I used to follow it just like a religion. Believe things against better judgment that don't have proof for it, and believe fairy tales that people tell you. Like, I remember when they tried to teach me the fairy tale of gravity, I remember knowing that that was not true, that that wasn't the right answer. I knew that the apple fell because it's more dense than air and it's no longer supported by the tree. That's buoyancy, and you don't need the mass of the earth to bend space-time. And here's where they get kind of arrogant about it too. I have no problem admitting that God made this place the way that it works, and that's why there's only one down direction, and that's why things fall only in one direction, and that direction is down, and I'm okay with saying that. Now, what sciencism will do is they'll make up some sci-fi explanation for that, but at the end of the day, they still don't really have a why. Okay, so let's just go along with the spaceball thing for a second, just for fun. The value of G is 9.8. Well, why? Why is it 9.8 and not 4.9 or not 20? Why is the value of G what it is? They won't have an answer for that. So just because they have one fairy tale answer thrown in, oh, you don't know why objects fall only down. I'm fine with saying because God made this place in a way that makes sense. There's an up and there's a down. That's a perfect answer for me. I'm okay with that. And that's another thing too. They think that they can set their own goalposts for everybody else. I'm allowed to choose what's a convincing argument for myself. I find it very convincing, the argument that there's just an up and a down and it's the same for everybody else. And I find the spaceball stuff laughable. And anyways, continuing, they don't have an answer for why, and that's where now probably they're talking about this Higgs boson stuff. If we can smash particles together and show you some CGI images, we can prove where gravity comes from or something. And it's just a bunch of sci-fi. They can always write whatever story they want and change their story. Notice that they're able to just make up whatever they want, and they don't have an answer for they do not have an answer for how these things come out, but they'll parade around like they have better answers where they're at the same place. They can't say why it's 9.8. And I'm just going to end this video with blatant lies. Sciencism will blatantly give lies, but they're allowed to give lies and make it change stories and still pretend like everything they do is perfect. How often do you see viruses depicted like this? This is what viruses were. When I learned what a virus was, this is what they were. Nowadays, with HIV virus and stuff, they show us these CGI blobs. Okay, which is it? Why didn't HIV look like one of these little bugs? Why does HIV look like a blob and not these crystal creatures? They don't teach this anymore because it's a lie, but people still believe it. If you go talk to people about the bitter spot and the sour spot and the salty spot and the sweet spot, people still think that this is a real thing and they did experiments on it in elementary school. This was a big thing, people testing this out, but now it's known that this is a bunch of BS. So what's going on there? How can people do a bunch of experiments and they're doing experiments on a bunch of BS and nobody calls it out? The healthy eating pyramid. Look at the capstone removed. I don't know, this looks like some newer one. They have breads at the top. This, of course, is breads at the top is not the one that they taught us. Oh, they have some breads down here. Whole grains. Ghost light of long dead stars. I remember in elementary school, they taught us that the stars were all dead. They told us that the starlight that we see from all the stars are long gone. That's what they taught us, and that doesn't make any sense. They don't talk about that anymore. But Hubble Deep Field, of course, will say stuff. But this isn't science. Going back to what science really is, you can't corroborate Hubble Space Telescope images, Hubble BS, and it's just mocked up images. And it's not science. And I guess I'll just say here, a lot of sciencism is the religion of the lost, the ones who, yeah, they're just lost. And most of the people who push sciencism, they aren't even really into it. That's not their religion. They're just straight up Satanist. I didn't include images, but plenty of people that come on my videos and try to bash me about science stuff. Oh, Hans, you're so dumb. You don't know any science. People, they're just Satanists. They have 666 usernames. They have Baphomet icons. They have, so my point here is there's people that believe in sciencism, and usually those people are just lost. They believe what they're told. That's what I used to be. And then you have people that push sciencism, always talking about planets, always talking about outer space and stuff. But what they are is they're lying Satanists, and they're just pushing this false paradigm. A huge thing that people bring up, oh, well, what? NASA hasn't been around forever. What? So they were faking stuff before NASA? Yeah, people have been lying forever. People have always been lying. People have always been deceiving. Victorian era trick photography. Scientism. I think I like sciencism better because it's not like they're worshiping just the scientists. They could come out with an article about AI robot stuff and people, so it's not just about the scientists. How long ago was this when doctors were pushing SIGs? Higgs boson. It's just a bunch of BS CGI stuff. How do you know that CERN is anything other than Disneyland? How do you know that they actually do anything there? It's not science. It's not reproducible. Can other people go can real people? Not, it's all elitist. It's all appeal to authority. No, you'll never be able to go do that stuff because you're too stupid. It's just what they'll tell you. But what they don't tell you is it's actually just Disneyland, and it doesn't actually do anything. It's the Wizard of Oz. Here's just another big one. Did the U.S. Army distribute smallpox blankets to Indians? Turns out this person's a fraud. And this story gets perpetuated. And the only reason that people ever find out about it is probably because inconsistencies in the story. Because at the time that this was supposed to happen, their understanding of disease wasn't even the same. So they wouldn't have thought of biological warfare like this. So I think that's one of the big reasons this one got called out, because the story doesn't work out. But here's just a thing where scholarly, how many college courses talked about smallpox blankets? Boom, they're all debunked. But people are okay with that. Oh, science can change, and the truth doesn't change. There's one truth and only one truth. So that's how you can tell science is fake. Peer review. They're reviewed by their friends and cronies, other cronies. And at a certain point, once you're up to that level, peer review level, everybody's so busy doing their own thing. Everybody's so busy with all their different committees and stuff. They really don't have time to sit here and check. They just glance it over. Oh, yeah, everything looks good. I didn't see any major typos. Publish. The peers of people in fields like mathematics, even their peers have no idea what they're talking about. So they just have to do their best to say, yeah, I guess it looks okay. Most scientists can't replicate studies by their peers. BBC News. I'll just end with this. So this is there was an article talking about nanobots. Oh, they're gonna send nanobots to go kill cancer. They always have stories like that. So here, I'll just read this answer. One of the lab coats calls them novel. So this is talking about that, the article about nanobots that kill cancer. Novel, like a book. That explains why new gimmicky things you'll never see again next year are called the same thing as a book. No wonder. I read about these things over 10 years ago, some sciencey rags about disease fighting, cancer repairing, anti-aging nanomachines. A few years later, some fast food companies paid for tons of experiments and reports that touching receipts cause obesity and that being fat isn't so bad anyway. Boy, boy, were those circulated. And 10 years ago, I read about high schoolers being able to program man-made bacterium into basic calculators. And now here's this. Oh, this also reminds me of the radioactive Boy Scout. They love these pop stories about fake nukes and stuff. They'll never explain the process of how to make or how this Boy Scout allegedly makes it. It's just some pop article about it. Nukes are not real. Okay, that's it for this video. I used to believe in science. I used to be in the cult of science, and I broke free from that. Jesus Christ is the truth. I came to this stuff later. I came to Jesus Christ later. I was raised agnostic. I was raised even worse than that. I was raised with people bashing Christianity around me left and right. And I was raised to love science and to to think that stuff is the coolest and that science is always right. I used to be that way. Now I know better. And now I follow Jesus Christ.